You are standing on the casino floor at 2 in the morning, and it is more alive right now than most cities are at noon. 70,000 square feet of carpet swallowing every footstep. 4,000 slot machines chiming in overlapping electronic melodies that never quite align. Blackjack tables where strangers are losing rent money with a smile because the free drinks keep coming. No clocks on the walls, no windows to the outside world. Every design decision in this building, the lighting, the layout, the oxygen pumped through the ventilation system, has been engineered by teams of behavioral psychologists to keep you exactly where you are for exactly as long as possible. And somebody just handed you the keys to the entire building. For a moment, this feels like the ultimate fantasy. You own the house. And everyone knows the house always wins. You picture the vault, the high rollers, the private jets landing on your tarmac, the champagne flowing at the VIP tables where a single hand of baccarat can move more money than most people see in a year. It feels less like buying a business and more like being handed a money printing machine disguised as entertainment. But here's what almost nobody outside the gaming industry actually understands. A casino is not a slot machine that pays you instead of the customer. It is one of the most heavily regulated, capital-devouring, and operationally punishing businesses that exists, and the mathematics that make it profitable are far more fragile and far more fascinating than the house always wins. Let's start with what it actually costs to get in the door, because this is not a business you casually enter. Building a major commercial casino resort from the ground up, the kind with a hotel tower, multiple restaurants, a convention center, and a gaming floor of any real size, typically costs between $1 and $5 billion depending on scale and location. The Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas cost roughly $4 billion to build. Marina Bay Sands in Singapore cost around $8 billion, including its integrated resort components. Even a modest regional casino, the kind you'd find off a highway exit in a smaller American state, can require $200 to $500 million in construction and licensing costs before opening night. And the construction cost is almost the easy part. Before you pour a single foundation, you need a gaming license. And this is where the fantasy collides violently with reality. Gaming licenses are issued by state or national gaming control boards, and the application process is one of the most invasive background investigations in the entire business world. Regulators will examine your entire financial history, your business partners, your family members, your source of funds going back decades. They are specifically hunting for any connection, however distant, to organized crime, money laundering networks, or undisclosed foreign influence, because historically, that connection has existed, and the industry has spent 50 years trying to scrub that reputation clean. The license application process alone can cost millions of dollars in legal and compliance fees and take 1 to 3 years to complete with absolutely no guarantee of approval. In competitive jurisdictions like New York or Japan, where a limited number of licenses are auctioned to the highest, most credible bidders, companies have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on applications for licenses they ultimately did not receive. You can build the building, hire the staff, and design the gaming floor, and still lose the entire investment if a regulator decides they don't like what they found in your background check. Now, assume you cleared all of that. You have your license. You have your building. You open your doors. Welcome to an operational cost structure that never ever sleeps. A major casino resort runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It never closes for a slow Tuesday. It never takes a holiday. That means your staffing costs are constant and enormous. A large casino resort can employ anywhere from 3,000 to over 10,000 people. Dealers, pit bosses, surveillance operators, cocktail servers, valets, housekeeping, security, accountants, compliance officers, and entertainment staff. Skilled dealers alone, particularly for high-stakes table games, require certification and specialized training, and turnover in the industry is notoriously high due to the demanding hours and the psychological toll of watching people lose money for a living. Then there's surveillance, and this is a category most people drastically underestimate. A major casino floor is monitored by thousands of high-definition cameras feeding into a dedicated surveillance room staffed around the clock by trained specialists trained to spot card counting, chip dumping, dealer collusion, and organized cheating rings. The system, known in the industry as the eye in the sky, can cost tens of millions of dollars to install and requires constant staffing and upgrading, this isn't optional security theater. Sophisticated cheating operations have stolen tens of millions of dollars from casinos in a single coordinated scheme, and regulators require a documented, functioning surveillance infrastructure as a condition of keeping your license at all. Compliance costs alone are staggering. Casinos are required to file suspicious activity reports for large cash transactions, comply with anti-money laundering regulations enforced by federal agencies, and undergo regular audits of every single gaming table and machine to ensure the odds match exactly what was licensed and disclosed. A large casino's compliance and legal department can run into the tens of millions of dollars annually, not because they want to, but because a single serious violation can result in fines reaching into the hundreds of millions, or in the most extreme cases, the revocation of the license that your entire billion-dollar building depends on. And then there's the physical maintenance of the machines themselves. A single high-end slot machine costs between $10,000 and $25,000, and a large casino floor might operate 3,000 to 5,000 of them simultaneously. These machines require constant technical maintenance, software updates to comply with regulatory testing standards, and eventual replacement because player preferences and technology shift roughly every 5 to 7 years. Multiply that machine count by the replacement cost, and you're looking at a rolling capital expenditure that can exceed $50 million over a machine fleet's life cycle. Comps. This is the cost category that quietly determines whether a casino survives or bleeds out. High rollers, known in the industry as whales, are offered free hotel suites, private jet transportation, personal chefs, and sometimes literal millions of dollars in credit lines because a single whale can wager tens of millions of dollars in a weekend. Casinos routinely give away 20 to 40% of their theoretical win from top-tier players just to keep them in the building, because the math of a whale who might lose 8 figures in a single visit justifies almost any amount of luxury spent luring them there. But whales are also the single greatest risk on a casino's balance sheet. A run of bad luck for the house against one determined high roller has bankrupted smaller operations before, because variance in gambling doesn't care how big your building is. So, with a billion-dollar building, a workforce in the thousands, surveillance systems costing tens of millions, and comps eating into your biggest wins, how does anyone actually make consistent money running one of these? Here is the mechanism that the public almost never understands, and it's the entire foundation of the industry. The house edge is not a trick. It's mathematics, and it is inevitable. Every single game on that casino floor is engineered with a built-in statistical advantage for the house, expressed as a small percentage. Blackjack might carry a house edge of around 0.5 to 2% depending on the rules and player skill. Roulette sits around 5.26% on American wheels. Slot machines, the true profit engine of any casino, typically carry a house edge between 4 and 15%, meaning the machine is programmed to pay back somewhere between 85 and 96 cents for every dollar wagered over millions of spins. Individual players can and do beat the house on any given night. That's not a bug. That's the entire marketing strategy because a big visible win keeps everyone else playing. But across millions of hands, millions of spins, and millions of players, the law of large numbers guarantees the house comes out ahead. It's not luck. It's the same statistical certainty that makes insurance companies profitable. You are not betting against your customers. You are running a business where the math itself is your product. Slot machines alone typically generate 60 to 70% of a casino's total gaming revenue, dramatically more than table games, because they require no dealer run continuously and can be finely tuned by the operator to hit a precise target payback percentage that regulators approve in advance. This is why the modern casino floor is dominated by slots, not the poker tables and roulette wheels that Hollywood loves to film. The quiet, blinking machines in the corner are doing more financial heavy lifting than the entire high roller pit combined. Beyond gaming revenue, the modern casino has transformed into what the industry calls an integrated resort model, and this is where the real financial genius lives. Hotel rooms, restaurants, nightclubs, spas, and retail shopping are no longer side businesses. They're deliberately engineered profit centers designed to extend a guest's stay and multiply their total spending. A guest who comes for one night of gambling might spend an additional $500 to $2,000 on dining, entertainment, and shopping, revenue that flows straight to the casino operator with none of the volatility of the gaming floor. Convention and conference business has become enormously lucrative for major resorts, filling thousands of hotel rooms on weekdays when leisure gambling traffic is naturally lower, smoothing out revenue across the entire calendar year. Loyalty programs represent one of the most sophisticated data operations in modern retail. Every swipe of a player's card at a slot machine feeds a database that tracks exactly how much a guest spends, how long they play, which games they prefer, and how much comp value keeps them coming back. This data allows casinos to precisely calibrate marketing offers down to the individual guest, maximizing what the industry calls theoretical win, the statistically expected profit from each player based on their historical behavior. This is not guesswork. It is one of the most refined predictive analytics operations in any consumer industry, built decades before most retail companies figured out customer data was valuable at all. And then there's the tax and licensing arbitrage that operates at the government level. Many jurisdictions, desperate for tourism revenue and job creation, offer casino operators significant tax incentives, reduced gaming tax rates for the first several years of operation, and infrastructure investment in exchange for building a resort. States like Nevada maintain notably low gaming tax rates specifically to keep operators headquartered there, while jurisdictions like Macau and Singapore have built entire national tourism economies around a small number of enormously profitable, tightly licensed casino operators, essentially auctioning monopoly access to a captive, wealthy customer base flying in from across Asia. So is buying a casino a genius empire or an over-leveraged trap? The honest answer is that it's one of the most mathematically guaranteed businesses on the planet, if you can survive the entry cost and the operational grind long enough to let the numbers work in your favor. The house edge is not a gimmick. It is a statistical certainty operating at massive scale, and combined with the integrated resort model, comp optimization, and loyalty data, a well-run casino is one of the closest things to a legalized, government-sanctioned money machine that exists in modern capitalism. But the barriers to entry are so extreme, the regulatory scrutiny so invasive, and the operational costs so relentless that this is not a business for anyone without access to billions in patient capital and an appetite for scrutiny most entrepreneurs would never survive. The house always wins, but only if you can afford to build the house in the first place. So here's the question: if the math is this certain and the house edge is this reliable, why do so many casinos still go bankrupt? Leave your theory in the comments below.